Hello, thank you for joining today's executive webinar session on customer complaint management. Is it an opportunity or satisfaction? And introductions to Qdms Software. My name is Kevin Devecioğlu and I'm with Bimser International. Today, I have my colleagues with me. I have Alex Kvartarov from MRAS Consulting. And we'll learn from Alex about customer complaint management in the scope of ISO 9001. Also with us today, we have Sam Watt. Sam is our pre-sales software engineer, and he'll be talking about Qdms software, its benefits, features, and how it helps you manage your customer complaint operations. As a start, I'd like to invite Alex Kvartarov to our virtual stage to learn about customer complaint management in the scope of ISO 9001 compliance. Alex, if you're ready, I'll make you the presentation so you can.
Yes, I'm certainly ready, Kevin.
Sounds great. Okay, you are the presentation ready right now, so you can present, I believe. We can see your screen.
All right.
Okay, looks great. Thank you, Alex.
Okay, very good. Thank you, everybody, for joining this webinar, and thank you, Kevin, for inviting me to discuss today about customer complaints. And the title really is it an opportunity or satisfaction? Well, I think it's really both, and we'll address this or try to come up with an answer indirectly to this question. So let's proceed. Before I start, let me just introduce myself and my company, MRAS Consulting. Personally, I'm a certified ISO 9001 lead auditor, and I'm the sole proprietor of MRAS Consulting. Now, I've started MRAS back in 2015 after a rather lengthy career as a project manager in a large aerospace company that is certified to the AS 9100 quality standard, which is the aerospace standard. Currently I provide consulting services for various businesses to help them achieve and maintain ISO certification. And back in 2018, I became a Bimser Solutions partner. Actually, I met Kevin, and Kevin introduced me to some of the software products that Bimser is offering, and I was very excited, in particular with the Qdms tool, because it really helps manage all of the volumes of data associated with ISO. So this is how I became involved with Bimser. And I also present a number of webinars and lectures on various ISO topics. Okay, let's start the presentation. Again, focusing on complaints, which is, not a very favorable subject, but I think complaints could be actually viewed in a very positive way. But where ISO kind of drives customer focus is through its quality management principles, and there's 7 of them. And again, today I'm going to focus on customer. Customer focus is very important from cradle to grave. When you either develop a product or a service for your customer, you're really starting from defining the requirements all the way through the product development. And then a very important part is the support, after delivery support. And this is where you would encounter customer complaints. So again, this is really the most important principle of ISO. So let's talk about what is an effective complaints management system. So as I said before, really nobody wants to deal with complaints because complaints are kind of viewed in a negative way. But you really have to understand that you as the provider of either the service or the product, you really have to encourage customers to complain. Now, I understand some customers complain all the time, and maybe they don't have legitimate complaints, but those are, of course, you know, those are hard to deal with. But typical organization actually does not complain, okay? And according to statistics, it says that only 4% of unsatisfied customers ever complain. What they do is they switch to competitors. So that's something that you really need to understand. That's why you have to encourage, and you, again, by having customer provide you with legitimate complaints, it just really is going to help you. It's going to help you improve your product or service. But on the other hand, those that are complaining and the complaints are resolved, it was determined that 90% of those remain loyal to you. So that's important to, you know, once customer is actually giving you complaints, that you deal with them accordingly. Now, in order to do that, you really have to have set up a complaints management system to be able to handle and process the complaints. And obviously, detailed records have to be kept, okay? And we'll talk more about what this complaint management system is. It's really up to you to define it, but it can't be just haphazard. It has to have some sort of a process that's part of your organization's quality management system. And all your employees must be trained to use this procedure and understand how it helps the organization. Now, if the procedure may not be adequate or it has a problem, then certainly it can be changed, and there's a process of changing procedures. But really, a procedure must be defined and followed to deal with all of the customer complaints. So let's talk a little more about what does the procedure includes or should include, okay? Now, really, there's really two parts to the procedure. One is how you're handling complaints with the customer. So in other words, that's the customer interface for complaints. So that has to be established. And the other one is the internal complaints handling procedure, okay? So let's talk about the customer part first. So first of all, you and the customer have to agree how to file a complaint. And there are many ways to do that, and it's really, like I said, there's got to be an understanding of the communication channel, whether it's done through email or online. There may be a portal, online portal, where the customer will find the complaint. It could be done through telephone. There's a danger there, because if you have an individual talking to an individual, all of the information may not have been recorded. So if it's a person-to-person conversation, then the individual who's recording the complaint must make sure that it goes into the complaints database. Otherwise, you really lose control. Another important part is that once a customer files a complaint, he should be aware of what would be the expected feedback and time for resolution. Now, I know that depending on the nature of the complaint, it could take a lot of time, but if you have to follow through certain steps to come up with a resolution, the customer must be aware of where you are in your assessment of the complaint, and continuously give him feedback. The worst thing you can do is, like, okay, he submits a complaint and he's being ignored, and this is where customers get very upset and they may go to competition. So interface with the customer is really critical in handling complaints. Now, internally, you have to have a procedure of once you accept a complaint from a customer, you have to have a process of dealing with it. So you have to have roles and responsibilities assigned to various employees in how to handling complaints, and they have to make sure that they keep records and update all the documentation in resolving any complaints that they receive. Also, it's very important because, again, here's the positive thing is that the actual customer is giving you information to help you potentially improve your product. Okay, so part of the inputs from the customer should go into a lessons learned database where you look at the issues that gave rise to this complaint, and that could be used as part of your continuous improvement cycle to correct the problem or actually improve your product or service. And again, very important to track the resolution of the problem and provide feedback to the customer. So if for whatever reason you're delayed in resolving the problem, the customer must be informed and also give them an updated schedule or plan of when are you going to address or resolve the problem. So I think that is a very important part, is to have very good communications with the customer. Okay, and finally, this is kind of a pictorial view of how the complaint procedure is managed within the organization. So from the left, obviously, the customer generates the complaint in whatever means it was agreed to. So this complaint obviously is recorded within your internal database. It's analyzed and hopefully it's resolved. And then once the complaint is resolved, whatever it takes to fix the problem, then obviously this would close out this complaint. However, there could be a more serious issue, and let me give you an example where the complaint is not resolved. Okay, and that happens unfortunately, but you have to be really ready to deal with it. So for example, the customer provided some requirements for the product that they've contracted with your organization, and once you deliver the product, a particular specification maybe was misunderstood or wasn't clearly written. So the customer is saying, well, we really want the product to do this, and when designing the product, you assume that this customer wants it done that way. So there's a discrepancy there between what you've delivered and what the customer wants. So obviously that could be a serious issue. So in that case, it has to be elevated to management and possibly brought over to the contracts department for them to evaluate whether the product or service is really meeting the contract requirements or not. So that's sometimes those are painful situations, but obviously they have to be worked at. But again, it's working diligently with the customer, and whoever's right, it really doesn't matter. But at some point, there will be hopefully a resolution to the problem, and this should be done amicably, and hopefully it'll be resolved, and the customer will be satisfied, and that's the whole goal of meeting the quality management goals and procedures. So that's really basically concludes my presentation. And again, thank you very much for your time. And I guess I'm turning this over to Kevin now. Thank you.
Alex, thank you very much for informative presentation. Much appreciated for your insights, as always. Now I'd like to invite Sam Mudd, Senior Pre-Sales Software Engineer at Bimser International. Sam will be talking about how you can manage customer complaints digitally on QDMS, how you can manage corrective actions and investigations digitally on QDMS, and reports and dashboards. Some brief information about Qdms software. It is a quality, risk, audit, performance, and compliance management software. It's been in the market since 1998. There are more than 1,000 corporate customers of Qdms, and there are more than 1 million professional users of Qdms using the system on a daily basis to manage quality management systems internally, to comply with ISO and many other standards and systems as per their operations. Sam, if you are ready, please take over the screen and show us about Qdms. I appreciate it.
Anytime. Thank you, Kevin and Alex, for your presentation. And this is Sam, the pre-sales software engineer of Bimser International based in New York. In the following, I will demonstrate Qdms, our quality, risk, audit, and compliance management system in this webinar. Qdms is the web-based system. After deploying Qdms on your cloud or on-premise server, you can connect to the system by using your web browser like Google Chrome, Firefox, Microsoft Edge, you name it. Any web browser that you have with the internet connection, you can connect to your Qdms. In addition, Qdms is a permission-based system. Not everyone can see everything. You will see what you're supposed to do based on the permission that's granted to your account. Different users have different permissions based on their role, position, profession, department, and group. After we log into the system, we can find this homepage, which we can find all the pending tasks and also the request for approval. For example, we have a customer complaint that we have recorded in Qdms and it is waiting for my review. I can open the widget and get a quick connection to this particular request. On the top left, this is the main menu of Qdms. In this webinar, we will focus in the customer complaint management module and also the corrective action module, as known as CAPA module. Saying we receive a customer complaint via email or through a phone call, for example, and we can use Qdms to record this particular customer complaint. And all the customer complaints that you have recorded will be shown in different status, like open, review, final, and so on, based upon the progress that we handle this particular customer complaint. You can find all the customer complaints that we have recorded in this demo environment and saying, now I want to record a new one. So what we can do is, we can first of all record what it is about. Who is our customer calling in or sending us an email? And then we can record this or capture this customer name from our system, as our system has the capability for you to upload all your customer name in our system or in the database. And then we can enter the complaint description and also the detail. Also, Qdms supports multiple locations so that we can also pick and choose the locations that is about or this complaint is about, and also the category, saying it is just like a general complaint. If there is more information that you want to record with the complaint, you are more than welcome to set up some more fields in our system, as Qdms is flexible enough for you to add more fields that you want to record for your customer complaints based on your actual operation or your expectations. After that, we can assign this particular complaint to a solution team. In this demo, I will pick and choose myself as the responsible person so that I don't have to switch between different accounts. I'm the team leader and the only member in this solution team. If there's any attachment, then you're more than welcome to upload it from your local to our QDMS. Seeing, for example, the picture from the customer or the PO, the invoice, those can be uploaded as a reference in this customer complaint. After that, we can save it, and on the top, some of the tabs will be available. Right now, they're in gray color. As by using QDMS, it will take you step by step because we have to make sure we review it and then we take action in order to resolve the problem that we receive. After that, we save it, and then as the solution team, as I can find this particular task right on my homepage, which is the one that is going to revealed by me. And I can open this up and it will be shown. And then right here, I can perform my first progress report, like the investigation. So right here, we have the option to choose if this customer complaint is a non-conformity to our company. If it is, then we can choose create a new corrective action record, which I will show you in a minute. But right now, we will say we don't need any. Then we can take it to the next step and save it. Once this investigation is done, then we can assign certain action to the action performer in order to resolve the problem. We can right in here choose the responsible person and also the action performer. After that, we can define what kind of action that we need or that we have to perform. So say I will say action 1, and then give it a deadline for performing this action. When we are talking about deadline in QDMS, you can also set up the escalation policy, like the escalation definition, meaning how many days that we tolerate for any task is past the due date, or saying like we can give it like 3 days after the due date, then we'll escalate this task to the manager or to the supervisor, for example. So this is also available in QDMS in order to keep your process running. After that, we can assign this action, and this action will be assigned to the action performer. As I am now the action performer, I can find this action or this assignment right on my home screen after I log in. I can open this widget, and this is the action that we have just created as action 1, for example. Then I can open this one because I am the action performer. Okay, I come here, I know there's something that I have to perform. As we perform it, like talking with the customer or making a refund or credit, or send another product to our customer site, for example, those actions that we have performed, then we have to come back to QDMS and report what we have done and make the action from open to performed, saying like the action that we have completed, like we refund, for example. And then we can attach any document if there's attachment, if there's any, and then we can save it. And this particular action will mark as closed, meaning we completed it. After that, we can save it. And this complaint will be updated as the status is now as planned. So we are almost there for managing this customer complaint. And then we have to file our final report before we are closing this case. Final report means what we have done, how is our customer happy, what should we pay attention in order to avoid any other or any same problem happen in our organization. So we can file our final report here. And right here, we still have the chance to choose if we need or if this complaint is a non-conformity to our company. If it is, then we can correct it, or we can create a corrective action accordingly. Again, I will show you in the coming example. But right now, saying if everything is okay, then we can file the final report, and the system will take you to the final status, like if we need any follow-up action, meaning that there is a record about to be closed. So we can open this and open the record that we are managing in this webinar. So right here, we can find it. Okay, now it is almost to be closed. If we need any follow-up action, we can open it right here and assign this to a action performer. Like we should have a certain training as a follow-up, a training to our employee, and also like a training to our contractor, subcontractor, for example. If there's no other follow-up action is needed, then we can close this corrective, this customer complaint with entering like the cost, or do we need any corrective action? That is the final step or final chance that we create a corrective action based on this complaint. Or we can just make a confirmation note here, like what we have done, or customer now is happy, for example, is now happy. And then we can save this, and this corrective, this customer complaint record will now be closed accordingly. So in QDMS, we also have the corrective action module. So by using customer corrective action module, we can find all our corrective action records in this module, where we find certain non-conformity. And as we have different non-conformity, for example, those records will be shown in a list as open, result, or follow-up, for example, so forth and so on. You're more than welcome to open a page, like a report-like page, in the customer complaint module and also the corrective action module, and find the details of this particular report, this particular record. Saying the ISO auditor come to your office and ask you, show me how to manage your customer complaint or the corrective action. You don't have to spend like 2 hours to look over all your drawers or cabinets. And instead, you come to QDMS, open this page, and talk to the auditor. This is how we manage the corrective action, or that is how we manage the customer complaint. And while we are managing the corrective action, we have also the system will take you through step by step, which we can manage the non-conformity, what it is about, and then assign this to a solution team, do the first progress report, like the investigation, and define the root cause. Starting from here is a little different from the customer complaint management module. We have to define the root cause, and based on the root cause, like the root cause that we have to take certain corrective action. After that, we can close this corrective action if there's no other follow-up action is needed. So in QDMS, the corrective action module can work as a standalone. Like if we create a new one, then the system will take us to this page, which we will see on the screen. Like we can choose how we find this corrective action. It's by work accident, quality control, audit, or any other reason. For all these items in the drop-down, they are configurable, meaning we can always add, edit, or delete the item in this list. After that, we can pick and choose the department, location, and also the non-conformity detail. After that, we can assign this to a solution team and attach any documents if there's any. Once we save this, and all the tabs on the top will be available one by one, meaning we will work through the whole workflow for managing our non-conformity. So you can see like how QDMS makes your customer complaint management activities and also the corrective action management activities in a structural way. So all your records will be well organized by using our system, and you can always trace back of what you have done and see what you should do. As I've mentioned, like in the customer complaint, we can also connect to the corrective action since there is an internal communication between two different modules. So let us go back to the customer complaint, which I have already go through one example with you. So I'm going to create a new one and see how it work together. So I'm going to pick this and saying this about the description, and also I'm going to put the detail, and I'm going to put myself as the solution team. So simply I'm going to save it. And after that, by the way, that is a notification, like the system has will make sure you enter every single mandatory fields that we have set up in the system in order to make sure you record all the required information for compliance purposes. So right now we create a new one, and then we can see what we have here as we are going to file a first progress report, like the investigation. And at this moment, we can choose if we need a corrective action. So saying now for this one, it is a non-conformity to our company. Then we can create a new corrective action, and the system will take you right away to the corrective action module automatically. So right now, we can pick and choose the source, like customer complaint, and the system will take the customer name and also the customer code, customer complaint code automatically from the record in the customer complaint management module. And then right here, we can manage this non-conformity and assign this to a solution team, and then we can save it, and this record will be created in the corrective action module. So right now you can see a corrective action module has been created, and then we have to file our first progress report in the corrective action module. So right here on our homepage, we can find there is something that we have to do is the first progress report that we have to fill in. And then we can come to right here, open our widget, and file our first progress report, and define the root cause also, like save our first progress report, and then we can define the root cause. Like for the root cause, all these are the items that we have defined in this demo environment. Of course, we will set this up during the implementation for you, based upon the actual operation and your expectations. Later on, we can assign this an action for this particular root cause and close this corrective action record accordingly. In every module of QDMS, there is a reporting tool that allows you to generate different ready-made reports. For example, in the customer complaint management module, we can find different reports like external customer complaint summary report, or in the corrective action, we can create the cost report and also add the action report. In addition, we can also have our graphical reports in QDMS as well. So it's visualize the data and put them in as a pie chart or bar chart. Before creating our report, you're more than welcome to set up different criteria and also the conditions. Like I want to see which departments handled the most corrective action in the last year. So starting from the last year, then we can draw our graph, and all your data will be shown in this list. And you're more than welcome to export your reports into Excel, PDF, or image for sharing with any responsible parties. It comes to the end of my demonstration. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sam, for your demonstration. Let me take over the screen before we end our executive webinar session. Let me see if I can try again. Okay, looks like it's working now. Perfect. So as my colleague Sam's demonstration, with the help of Qdms, you can start a customer complaint management process. You can go step by step based on your company's quality management system to evaluate it, to investigate it, and if necessary, to take corrective actions for improvements. And you can report it if there is a need. So there are many different benefits that you can enjoy from when you deploy Qdms from the point of customer complaint management. There are more than 30 modules available on Qdms. Today we focus on customer complaint and corrective action management module, and we'll be talking more about other modules in coming weeks during our executive webinar session. Before we end our webinar session, Alex, is there anything that you'd like to share as final remarks?
Sure. Yes, Kevin. I just wanted to emphasize that, the power of the Qdms tool, because as Sam has demonstrated, in effect, the tool gives you a mechanism of keeping track of all of the complaints, and not only do you keep track of the complaints, but also their resolution. And obviously, we've only discussed complaints in this webinar. However, Qdms covers all of the data associated with ISO. So as a takeaway, I think using the Qdms tool will make your life so much easier, and certainly it will basically give you the whole process of dealing with customer complaints, and not only dealing with complaints, but also to resolve them. So this is, I think, a very, very beneficial tool, and it will make your life a lot easier in dealing with complaints and ISO management. So that's basically what I wanted to say.
Thank you, Alex. Much appreciated. Also, thank you for your informative presentation. To our audience, to learn more about Qdms software, you can visit our website, bimserint.com or bimserint.net, to learn more about Qdms benefits, features, use cases, and some more information about its capabilities to make it easy for you to manage your quality management systems and customer complaint management operations. I'd like to thank you for your time and thank you for your interest. I'm looking forward to having you at our coming executive webinar series. Thank you and have a nice day.